It is Tuesday, November 18th, 2025, right here on Jocks, and GMAC will be on call for the college football playoff rankings release tonight. What surprises, what new information, what teams in different places do you maybe expect tonight, GMAC?
By far, the most intriguing rankings release of this season so far. Curious if you see it this way. Like, I am fascinated by this. One, how high does Oklahoma jump? Two, how far does Alabama drop? What's the order of those two? Feel pretty confident that Oklahoma will be in front of Alabama, but I also am curious, how does that stack up relative to Oregon? How does that stack up relative to Notre Dame? And a few other schools. So, I mean, to me, I think it's pretty clear what the top 5 will be, top 6. It'll be some variation of Ohio State, Indiana, which we're all pretty sure those will be the top 2 still, followed by A&M, Georgia, right? We're good with the top 4. 5 will probably be Texas Tech, if I were to assume. 6 would be Ole Miss. Then what's the order beyond that? Is it Oklahoma, Alabama, Oregon, Notre Dame? Is it Oregon, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Alabama? What's the order 7 through 10? To me, it's probably the most fascinating thing we've seen in quite some time when it comes to the rankings release.
No, it's going to be some real drama tonight because I think we've had a good idea where teams were going to be prior to this. And then even if they were a little bit of a different spot, we thought to ourselves, okay, they're still in. Now we're going to be looking at teams and thinking, all right, if they're there, they're not getting in. If they're there, they are in. And then obviously being able to look at certain games in the next 2 weeks of the regular season is to that now becomes some ACC teams. Going to be intriguing where they are and what it's going to look like for the rest of the season with what they have. Of course, SEC teams, where they are, what they have left on the schedule. So all of that tonight on the rankings show. GMAC will be up in Bristol, and you'll hear him discussing that. We have obviously some big games coming up this weekend that we're going to begin to get into. Haven't even gone through all the games from this past weekend. We'll do that across the course of the show today. Andy Burcham with us at 8. He joins us every Tuesday to talk Auburn. We'll talk some Auburn hoops and what to expect from the Auburn quarterback situation coming up this weekend. Does not appear as though Ashton Daniels is going to go. That will preserve a redshirt year for him and allow him to come back and play college football next season. I don't know if that'll be at Auburn or not. I think he wants to be there, but obviously that's going to depend on the coaching situation and what that looks like moving ahead. Some news from Alabama. We'll get to that coming up today. Jed May will be with us at 8:30. Update us on some injury issues at Georgia. Some important potential injury issues with that Georgia defense, GMAC. When you're looking at some of the leadership, some of the veterans on that side of the ball that were dinged up, it's not going to matter against Charlotte this weekend, but depending on the length, depending on the level of injury, could be something that's very intriguing to watch for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, very. And I'll be curious. Like, tell me this. Are you concerned? Are you beginning to become concerned? I guess is the right way to phrase the question. Are you beginning to become concerned about the lack of, quote, competitive depth that Georgia will have in those games?
I'm not going to.
Are you worried about them?
Not yet. Not yet, because you've got this week, and they've got some youngsters that have kind of started to play a little bit that I think can hold them over and help them a little bit, depending on the length, the duration, who the opponent would be. And then the other part of it is just the way the offense is playing. I mean, I'm going to give Georgia a little benefit of the doubt because that offense is doing so much. Gunnar Stockton's operating it so well right now that I think that gives them some advantages to be able to overcome a couple things defensively that may hold them back or not allow them to be where they've been at some point this season. So not concerned yet, but depending on the length, the severity, we'll see kind of where we are. And then Matt Moscona is going to join us at 9 to begin to discuss this Lane Kiffin situation, GMAC, and it is literally all over the place. There are people in Gainesville that believe that's a done deal. He's coming to Florida. There are people in Baton Rouge that believe it's a done deal. He's coming to LSU. There are people in Oxford that believe he's going to stay in Oxford. I think a lot of people have had a good feeling on this at one point in time, and then now those people maybe feel something totally different. The really intriguing part of this comes with now the Ole Miss administration, some people saying, and this is growing a little bit louder, more people beginning to sort of double down and say that this is real, this is a thing. Essentially, if you're not going to be our head coach, you're not going to coach us during the playoffs. I would love to hear people's thoughts on this and just kind of how it's going to operate, what it's going to be moving ahead. We're looking at, I'll easily say one of, if not the best Ole Miss football team we've seen in our lifetimes. I don't know if they're definitively better than last year, but I know what they've done on the field has probably already passed what they've done last year. And this is a team that's going to be in the playoffs. And I don't know if folks would look at this as I'm going to blame with the administration and say, yeah, if you're not going to be our coach, you got to go. My biggest question there, Greg, that I haven't heard anybody mention is, because there's a lot of people that are tooting the horn of, yeah, man, stand your ground. Get him out of there. He can't be your guy. If he's going to leave, you got to make him go. Do you not have to fire him for that to happen?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm just asking the question. Like, can you say, hey, we're going to allow you to sit out the playoffs? We're not going to let you do that. I mean, you essentially have to terminate him if you do that. And if I'm not mistaken, if you terminate him,
does he get a buyout?
You got to buy him out. So we are buying our head coach out to not coach us in the playoffs after coaching us to the best team we've had in the history of our program. I just don't.
I've literally never thought about that.
You can't just say you're excused. You're excused
Yeah.
from coaching the playoffs. Like, don't you have to terminate him? Hey, you're not allowed in our building. Yes, I am. I'm contractually the head coach. No, you're not. Okay, well then fire me. You have to. I
mean, honestly, it's like next level. This is why you come to this show. Like, that is literally next level analysis. Like, I don't know what the world looks like. I'm sure there's some type of, quote, morality clause in his contract that says if you are actually coaching another team, then that is, obviously an issue with your morality relative to this program. Like, I'm sure there's language in there. I'm sure there is, but that's a fascinating dynamic that I've literally never thought about. We've been on the show for years, and we have covered pretty much everything under the sun. Would you not agree? Like, we have talked about everything from every angle. That is one angle that we have never discussed.
With the playoff being where it is, we've thought.
I know.
We've thought that this would be possible in different ways, and that would be a coach having to make a decision of. And usually we've thought about this from like a G5 perspective or a coordinator perspective, and we've kind of seen it in the 4-game playoff with coordinators that were going to go ahead and go. I mean, Dan Lanning coordinated Georgia's defense, and he was the Oregon head coach. So it's happened, but I don't think that we've ever looked at this from the standpoint of an actual head coach, but then even further, the administration potentially standing their ground saying, no. Like, literally, no, we're not going to let you go coach a team that you have taken to the college football playoff. I can't see the administration doing it. And I know more and more people are saying that it's going to happen, and they've given this deadline. And from Keith Carter's perspective, I get it. Because if you go until January whatever, and then you have to start a coaching search, that's probably not going to end well. And it's not going to end where it probably, as far as best case scenario, could have ended for you if your head coach leaves. So CYA, as Rick Trickett used to say, Keith Carter's got to worry about him. He's got to worry about his athletic department and his football program. How long are these other schools going to wait is another question, Greg. Like, if you're LSU and you really think this is happening, if you're Florida and you really think this is happening, don't you have to give yourself some sort of deadline to say, all right, guys, we would love to have him. That's our dream hire. Realistically, we cannot go any further with this. Because if we get to January 20th and all of a sudden have to start a coaching search, like let's say Florida and LSU both, their number 2 is Eli Drinkwitz. Let's just say that. How long do they sit there and wait? And then say, oh, come on down? And is he going to do that at that point? Yeah. There are just so many tangled parts of this web that I just don't understand or comprehend how they're even going to pretend to manage them. It's fascinating to consider kind of where this is and where it might go.
Well, here's and look, I'm not in the situation. So like I can't tell Ole Miss how to feel. I can't tell Missouri how to feel. I don't know if there is a right way. It's not like there's a blueprint. Like, oh, let's follow the blueprint. Like, there's no blueprint. This is kind of unprecedented. Like, I don't know how. Let's say Tulane makes the playoff. Like, how do you handle that? How does that work for John Summerall in the event in which he gets another gig, right? Like, I mean, there's a million different angles that you can take from this. Eric Morris at Texas. He makes the playoff. Like, what does he do? To me, it's very simple. Like, we go all in together right now. Like, this is not about the future. This is about the present. We can go accomplish greatness together. I would not let my feelings get in the way of immortality. I know that that's easier said than done. I get it. I'm sure there are hurt feelings. But answer me this right now. If you're a Washington fan, let's just use Washington as an example because I don't know, that just comes to mind. Like, Washington was, a quarter and a half away from winning the national championship. That game against Michigan was tight. It was a one-possession game until it got broken open by one play there, mid-third quarter, late third quarter. Had prior to that, Kalen DeBoer been announced that he was taking Alabama. Like, would that make that run any less special? The answer is no. Like, championships are immortal. They live forever. And because I get my feelings hurt because my coach might be leaving for the next destination, I'm going to deny my team the best chance to go and chase it? What are we doing? Like, absolutely not. Like, if I'm Ole Miss, maybe the best team I've ever had, I think I legitimately could go win a national championship. I personally believe, depending on the matchup, it could happen. You never know. It'd be
absolutely
incredible.
It could.
It'd absolutely be incredible. And if I'm Ole Miss, I'm sitting there thinking, hey, I want to give my team if I'm Keith Carter, hey, guess what? No one's ever won an SEC championship here, at least in the modern format. No one's ever won a national championship here, at least in the modern era. And 60s, 50s, whatever. Maybe they won one back then. I don't remember. But beside the point, like, I want to give my team the best chance. That is my responsibility as the athletic director. Yes, to protect the long-term interest of the organization, but also to give our fans an opportunity to hang a banner. So to get your feelings hurt and to put ultimatums out there and all this other stuff, to me, I think it's really short-sighted. And while you're protecting yourself and you might win some favor in the court of public opinion, people will still be mad and always wonder what if, and it will come back to your own job security down the road if you decide to part ways with the guy in a premature fashion. I just think it's kind of immature.
There's another side to this. There's another side to this that's unfortunate, and that is the players on this football team that have put this season together, and they've gone out there and executed and overcome some adversity at the same time. I mean, you lose your starting quarterback. You didn't technically know what you had in Trinidad Chambliss. Now, that's ended up working out great. Right. But nobody thought this defensive line was going to be anywhere near as good as it's been this year. Nobody thought this receiving core was going to step up the way that it has. Nobody expected Kejuan Lacey to have the season that he's been having. And these guys have been great, and they're actually still getting better. You and I talked about the run game yesterday. The offensive line seems to be finding their way a little bit more. You're getting some more tight ends that are getting more reps and getting healthy again. That's only going to help your offense moving into the playoffs, actually allow you to do some things you haven't really done all year and put on film potentially in the postseason. You have actual quarterback depth going into the postseason, which not a lot of teams can say that they have, that you would have some confidence in. It's been a really nice year, and now they're all having to listen to this nonstop. And they're having to probably sit there and ask themselves in the locker room and around their apartments, whatever it is, like, who's going to coach us if we get to the playoff? And by the way, you got to play Mississippi State, a team whose season is going to be hinging on one of the bigger rivalry games in all of college football. One of the more intense rivalry games in all of college football, and you got to go there and do it on Black Friday. So I hate it for them that this is now the focal point and getting a lot of attention, and you can talk about blocking out the noise and who, what, we don't listen to that. It's impossible not to hear this if you're a player on that football team. You might not focus on it, and you might be able to turn the page. You might be good at that, but it's impossible not to hear it because it's literally everywhere. And that's the unfortunate part that I don't think a lot of people are mentioning, because these guys have put a great year together.
And I think you're 100% right. It's not fair to the team. And it's all ego to me, and like, people interpret ego as like something negative. It's not. It's just ego. Like, you're protecting your feelings. You're protecting your emotions as it relates to this possibility. Like, do I think Lane's leaving? Probably. Does it make this season any less special if he coaches in a quote lame duck situation. Hey, you know what an ideal scenario would be? Like ideal scenario, and I don't know where they're going to go in the event in which he leaves, who they're going to hire. But like, how about you promote Pete Golding? You keep it in house. Pete's on staff, serving in the exact same role as Lane was, and Lane is still coaching, helping, making the tweaks that he sees because an extra set of eyes on the defense to create a big play might come down to one play in a playoff game. That's how tight the margins are. It might come down to one play. So you think having the extra set of eyes on the sideline is valuable? Yes. But because your feelings are hurt, you're going to not deny your team the opportunity to do that, to get that extra set of eyes, to make that last minute tweak on a double move that could potentially win you the game. Like, to me, it's completely short-sighted. And I don't know. Like I said, I don't blame anybody for feeling the way they feel when it comes to these things. It's a very difficult situation. It's an uncomfortable situation. But my goal as an athletic administrator would be to deliver championships and get to give my teams the best chance. And not having one of the best offensive minds in the sport out there helping me win games, to me, is not giving my team the best chance. So hopefully cooler heads prevail in the event in which it goes that way. But I don't know where it's going to go, to be honest with you.
800-239-9569 if you want to get in. 800-239-WJOX. You can text in 205-834-9450. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. What would you do if you were Keith Carter, the Ole Miss athletic director, and you had a pretty good idea that Lane Kiffin wasn't going to coach your team next season? What would you do for this postseason run? Are you excusing him? Give him a hall pass? Are you firing him? You asking him not to go? You letting him go? You letting the team figure it out? We'll discuss all of that throughout the course of the show. Across the course of the show, I do want listener feedback. I mean, I want to know what people are thinking about this, where they would go. Game Day Men's Health is where you need to go if you're lacking sleep, lacking energy, feeling on edge. Maybe you need to lose a little bit of weight. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Sign up for the free consultation. You're going to go in, free PSA test, free testosterone test. They're going to get your vitals, and they're going to let you know where you are right then, right there at Game Day Men's Health. Now open in Trustville. Go get all that. You can find out about the peptides, the weight loss programs that they have, a holistic approach to health and wellness, minimal upfront costs from the programs that they offer. They just want to help you feel better and get back to your better self. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Sign up for that free consultation today. All right, more on this coaching situation. We look back at some more of the games over the weekend this hour next on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Tuesday, November 18th, 7:21, right here on Jocks. We asked the question, if you were Keith Carter, what would you do just for this postseason run? If you had an idea that your head coach was going to go somewhere else and you weren't going to be able to retain him past this playoff run, were you going to allow him to coach through this postseason? 800-239-9569. Evan is in Birmingham. Welcome into the show, Evan.
Yeah, hey, how are you doing?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing well. I think McElroy's right. You haven't won anything, of note since 1960. This is by far the best coach you've ever had, potentially the best team maybe last year that you've ever had at Ole Miss. I mean, you got to give these kids and this coach a shot to, if the tiebreaker doesn't work out and you don't get to the SEC championship, but you make the playoff, I mean, you can lose to State this weekend or next weekend and get to the playoff, get a chance at winning a national title. I mean, how many teams out there have flaws that you could potentially beat? Like you said, you have quarterback depth, so you don't even have to worry about, okay, what if Chambliss goes down in round one and now you have to, rely on Simmons. So you can definitely do that. I mean, I just don't. I think it's immature. I think it's childish. I would definitely be frustrated, but I mean, you got to find a way to communicate to Lane in some other way than, putting out an ultimatum out there to where, now all your kids are also wondering, well, who the heck is going to be our coach? You got to give yourself a shot. That's the whole reason you would even want to keep Lane at all, is because you're trying to win national championships. So try and win one this year. That'd be mine. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I appreciate the call. That's the other part about it is Evan made a mistake there on playing this week. Greg, you also have a bye week this week.
Yeah,
it's like, what are people talking about with Ole Miss football? I mean, this is like the topic now. So that timing even worse.
Correct.
For this football team. Brent is on a cell.
The other thing.
Oh, go ahead. Greg.
Honestly, how do we know for sure? And look, I'm just playing devil's advocate on the other side. How do we know for sure that Lane wants to stay? Because if Lane wants to leave and go pursue his next opportunity and no longer do anything with Ole Miss, which I find that hard to believe. I just don't know how many guys are wired that way. Remember, he did not coach the national championship game in the 2016 season, January of 17. He called plays in 2016 in the semifinal, but did not call plays in the national championship game. Steve Sarkisian called plays in the national championship game, so he might want to leave. Maybe he doesn't want to be around for the run because he feels like that would be distracting from his next opportunity, next job, put him behind the eight ball. I don't know. I still think winning a national championship gives you the best recruiting advantage, but what if that's a possibility, Cole? Do you think it is?
Maybe. And that's the other part of this, is that it's tough to figure out even what you believe because you're getting decent information from all three sides here. And like I said earlier, there are legitimately folks in Gainesville that think this is happening. There are legitimately folks in Baton Rouge, legitimately folks in Oxford that all think this is taking place. And then there are some people who you normally trust that say, I don't know where this is. And this could go all these different ways. And every day that goes by just makes the dynamic more unique because we haven't seen a lot like this in college football with a name this big, with as much on the line, programs this big that look like they're willing to wait. And we all know good and well there's going to come a point in time when they just can't anymore. Some may speed that up. Some may slow that down. We don't know what they're going to do. Brent on a cell wants to chime in. Welcome in, Brent.
Yeah. Thanks for taking my call, and I agree with what both of you said, all of the points that you just made, and I agree with the last caller. I think, it's a knee-jerk reaction for the athletic director at Ole Miss, like Greg was talking about egos and things. And it's a knee-jerk reaction for them to say, oh, yeah, well, if you're leaving, we're not going to let you coach. But if you think about the players and you think about that, this is an opportunity for Ole Miss that, may never come around again for a long time. They should definitely let Lane be the coach through the playoffs, whether he's leaving or not. Just say, okay, well, you're leaving, but it's just like you were saying, Cole, technically you would need to give him his buyout if you're going to fire him and tell him he can't. But, I mean, you got to look past your ego as Ole Miss. You got to say, look, this is our chance, and he's our guy. He got us here, and absolutely, whatever your decision is, Lane, we want you to stay. But whatever, even if you're leaving, we want you to coach us because it's like Greg said, that extra pair of eyes, one play could make all the difference on your run through the college football playoffs and the national championship. So that's all I got. I love your show. You guys are great. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. It's wild to think about that we might get to certain spots here and where it could go when it reaches that fork in the road. Wade is in Tuscaloosa, wants to chime in. Welcome to the show, Wade.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, how about just going ahead and naming an interim coach like, the defensive coordinator, and let him turn around and say, hey, look, I'm hiring an offensive coach, and his name's Lane Kiffin, and he's going to be there with you through the playoffs until he decides that he don't want to be there. And that way it kind of covers your bases on, hey, look, having to pay my buyout, let him still, be on staff. And then if it gets to the point where it's uncomfortable, hey, it's time to cut him loose in, or if he wants to go. But then again, you still have some continuity with your team. You still got Lane around until it's just not feasible anymore.
Wade, can I ask you just kind of one question off that? If you were in that situation, what's Lane Kiffin been best at other than calling plays as the Ole Miss head coach? What has he done better than anybody else?
He's probably handled the media.
Okay, that might be one. I was thinking more retrieved players from portal.
That's correct.
And he's going to another school.
That's true.
And he's around your roster for another month.
That's true.
Okay. Just a thought there.
The thing about it, though, is the way the portal's set up now. He's already got these relationships with these players. If they're going to go, they're going to go.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like, does it change anything? Like, in all seriousness, does it change if Lane Kiffin leaves for, let's just say, Florida?
Well, let me ask you this, though.
He wants to take Austin Simmons with him. Like, does it really change anything? Like, I don't know.
I don't either. I know you got to try to protect it at least, though, if you're Keith Carter.
Let me ask you this, though. You know where it might change things? It could change things. Hey, if Ole Miss gets on a run, wouldn't you rather have Lane Kiffin calling the plays than somebody else?
Well, Charlie Weiss Jr. can handle it. I mean, he does a lot of it right now. So, I think from that perspective, you could be okay. There's another aspect. I appreciate the call, Wade. Thanks for chiming in that we haven't kind of discussed or talked about with this one. And that is what he just said about the interim head coach. Like, I would agree with you normally, Greg, that Pete Golding, I've asked why no one mentions his name as being the next Ole Miss head coach. Hypothetically, let's take a step forward here. It is LSU. Pete Golding is from Hammond, Louisiana.
Correct.
And if they're going to back up the Brinks truck for Lane, I would imagine they're backing it up for his staff as well. And if Pete wasn't told he's going to be the next head coach at Ole Miss, and there are a lot of personal reasons that he wanted to go to Oxford. His wife's also from Louisiana. So just to complicate it a little bit further, if it was LSU and that was placed in front of Pete Golding as well, let's just say for 2.5 years, just to
How'd you come up with that number?
Just to make it even more complicated. Moving ahead, the ifs of this. I'm not saying that it is reported or definitive, but just another inside of this entire thing, Greg, that would maybe complicate it even further.
And Blake Baker's making 2.5 years, so it's more tongue-in-cheek than anything else. Honestly, I think he'd be insane not to give like a good long hard look at Pete Golding in the interim, or as the replacement in the event in which Lane leaves. We're still operating under the assumption that he leaves. We don't know that for certain, by the way. Like, that is not a lock. Like, it's Lane Kiffin. Like, he was going to Auburn. It was done until the 11th hour, right? Like, I mean, he's notoriously unpredictable and will continue to be, I think, in this situation as well. Like, until he is boots on the ground in Gainesville or Baton Rouge, I don't know if it's a done deal. I'm talking boots on the ground. He could be on the plane and it might not be a done deal. Like, so long story short, I think you need to give a good, long, hard look at Pete Golden to just kind of keep what you're doing going. I do think it'd be helpful, by the way, to get clarification on what Lane's intentions are so I can go and get the next best guy. Because the last thing I want to be doing is twisting in the wind and all these other candidates, great candidates, are going elsewhere when I'm kind of held hostage by the situation as well. So the last thing I want is for Auburn to get an inside track on us because I don't know what's going on with my head coach. So I can understand the ultimatum from that standpoint, but I still think that Lane Kiffin, and Charlie Weiss does call the plays, and almost exclusively calls the plays, but at the same time, Lane has the freedom on every single snap to make a tweak based on what he sees at field level. And that is of significant importance. When one play might decide victory or defeat in a playoff setting, having an extra set of eyes on the defensive secondary, on the player's alignment, to be able to make a quick tweak. Hey, double move here. Hey, pump this here. Hey, slide the protection here. To make a quick tweak, it could decide victory or defeat.
Well, in both.
So I do not want him gone.
Both Jackson Dart and Austin Simmons have told my TV crew prior he gets in there late too. He is not afraid to hop in there at the last second and say, go to this, get to that, watch this. Even if it's, like you said, a single route, anything.
Whistle.
Yeah.
Like, remember, Bama fans will remember this. LSU, at LSU 2014, Blake Sims, the starting quarterback. They're in overtime. It's a grind. It has not been a good game whatsoever offensively, from what I can recall. And they are in overtime. Lane Kiffin whistles, gets Blake Sims' attention. They make a quick tweak. They throw a touchdown pass. Do you remember this?
Yeah. And I mean,
it's a big deal.
Jackson Dart told us that he'll call in plays that they haven't practiced. He's like, he's giving me a couple play calls, guys. I've never heard of those plays before. He's like, I'm looking over there going, that's not a play that we have. Like, what? He's like, I don't know if it was like from the Raiders or USC, but like he's like, that's how insane his brain is with the memory and the log of plays and things that have happened to him over the years that he can just do that. So we're going to continue the conversation. Hang out if you're on hold. We'll get to some of your tweets. Before we go to break, Greg, tell our listeners about Bromberg's.
Well, Bromberg's the best. Today is my wife's birthday, so happy birthday,
Happy
Meredith.
birthday, Meredith.
Oh, yeah. She is 25 today, thereabouts. So really, really, really amazing. I love her, and I will be celebrating her birthday by going to Bromberg's. So, yes, Christmas is around the corner, but in our family, birthday comes first. But if you need a little help from Santa this year, Bromberg's has you covered. Whether you're shopping for diamond jewelry, a luxury timepiece, or something sparkly from your favorite designers like David Yurman, Marco Bisego, or Roberto Coin, Bromberg's has the perfect gift idea for everyone on your list, and their expert team makes shopping really easy. Every gift comes wrapped in their iconic silver box, so it's sure to wow under the tree. So stop by Bromberg's in Mountain Brook or at the Summit, or you can shop online at brombergs.com.
All right, when we come back, we'll continue this discussion. I see you guys on hold. We'll get to you first on the other side next on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:39, Tuesday, November 18th, right here on Jocks. We asked the question, with this Ole Miss coaching situation, we don't know where it's going to go. A lot of people think they do. If you're Keith Carter, how do you manage it? Do you actually tell a sitting head coach, we are not going to allow you to coach a team in the postseason, which he got you to because you think he may leave once your season has completed? Frank is on the road. Would like to chime in. Welcome into the show, Frank.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
I have a unique situation because my son was recruited by Lane Kiffin years early in his career.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
He's done a heck of a job, but when he recruited a bunch of, when he was in, I think he was in, oh gosh. But anyways, he came in with a bunch of, he was in Tennessee, that's right. He came in Tennessee and flew a bunch of their Tennessee girls in to a high school game and landed in the field with a helicopter. He's certainly flashy, I'll tell you that.
Okay. We had a bad connection there, Frank. I apologize. Greg is in Russellville. Welcome into the show, Greg.
Good morning, man. It's good to talk to you.
Thank you.
I was just going to look at this at a little bit of a different perspective. I think he should not give an ultimatum, especially in public. I think he should talk to Lane and say, oh, it would help me a lot if you would just let me know if you're going to go or not so I can start doing some behind the scenes. But at the same time, I throw all this on the coaches. I mean, the players are making money. The coaches are making money, a lot of money. And to me, I think Lane would be a fool to leave. But, you know, I mean, he's going to see if he can catch up to Spurrier, you know, or Urban Meyer in Florida. You know, he's all chasing somebody at LSU. And if you go there in 3 years and you ain't got them where you got Ole Miss right now, you out the door. I mean, I just don't. There comes a time when where you got to be, you know, you show your players and your fans respect. If you're going to get out there and beg for money for NIL, show their fans the respect. I mean, to me, used to, you know, you can look at LSU in Florida as a step up as far as recruiting high school kids because of the kids in the state. But now if you're recruiting 80% of your players from NIL, from transfer portal anyway, I mean, it's not really that big of a step up. I mean, you could stay at Ole Miss and be king. But I just don't understand. These coaches, to me, need to start showing a little bit more respect, too, instead of just thinking about it's just about me.
Yeah, I think we would all agree with that. And I think, but the difference is that's your opinion. His opinion may be we're tapped out here, and I need to be at a different school to go win bigger, potentially somewhere else. So I don't know.
And honestly, though, like it's a bit of a bygone era too, though. When evaluating, we can't do this here. Like Texas Tech, in many ways, has completely changed the game from a vantage point of. Well, guess what? I don't think many people in college football would have considered Texas Tech a destination job, right? I mean, would you, Cole? Probably not.
No.
Not in the 100 years prior to the world changing beneath our feet in the last few seasons. And now it's become a real destination because of their facilities, their commitment to excellence, their resources, like all this other stuff. It's become a really, really attractive place. So the world has changed some, and I think Ole Miss is remarkably better suited now than they were for a very long time. One, because there's no longer divisions in college football. Because, gosh, it was hard for them for a while to manufacture wins against teams every year that you play every year. And now in the 16-team SEC era, it's a little more manageable, and it's a little bit better for them to kind of navigate their way to the top of the conference. So I think here's the thing I would tell Ole Miss fans, if he does leave, and this is a big if, right? Think about how much better off you are today after having had Lane Kiffin for the last 6 years than you were when he arrived. Like, think about how much more attractive the job is to the next candidate than when it was when Lane took over. Like, way more attractive, right? So I think there's benefits here, but as far as like respect and all this stuff, man, it's hard for me to tell somebody if they have great admiration for a job. It's hard for me to tell somebody, man, yeah, don't take it because you should be loyal to where you're at right now. Like, loyalty in coaching is very fickle because one day you're the hero, the next day you're the GOAT. And GOAT in a bad way, not in a good way.
Yeah.
We've seen guys fall out of favor really quickly. So you got to do what you got to do.
Okay, Mailman wants to chime in on Lane's future. Welcome into the show, Mailman.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's been a while since I've talked to you guys. Just real quick, I think we all can agree Lane Kiffin wants to win. And if anybody knows Lane, he has an ego, himself for us wanting the attention. And I think right now all the attention is on him. But at the same time, Florida is not the Florida that we all knew back in the 80s and 90s when Spurrier was there and when Urban Meyer went down there and won. Matter of fact, Florida is not even the top school in the state of Florida now that it once has been. So Lane Kiffin is doing what he needs to do. It's almost like he's doing a chess move. And if I'm the AD, I would go ahead and make him the highest paid coach in college football. Look at what Indiana coached.
Certain people will tell you that's on the table, Mailman. It's already there.
Sir.
Certain people will tell you that offer's already there. So Keith Carter's done his part.
Yes, sir. So Lane Kiffin, he's just playing it safe. But as far as if he was to leave, should he be given a pass to coach through the playoff and possibly the championship game? You guys might disagree, but I say no. If Lane takes another job, if I'm the AD, I will send a message that Ole Miss is bigger than one person, and I would not allow him to coach through the playoff. And I know that might sound strange, but hey, if you leave us dry like this, you don't deserve an opportunity to enjoy the fruits of where we're at now. And look at what Saban did when Kiffin was with Alabama. You took that head coaching job, okay, go ahead and leave. We'll manage without you.
It's an interesting thought. This whole thing's unique, Mailman. The whole thing is very unique. We appreciate the call. All right, we got to get to a break. I see you on hold. We see the tweets coming in. We'll get to those next right here on Jocks. What would you do if you were Keith Carter and you were in this situation with Lane Kiffin, playoffs on the brink? You going to let him coach your team? You tell him to kick rocks? And if so, how do you even do that? We don't know the answer to that. What we do know the answer to is what the weather is going to be up to and where it's headed. Don't get caught in the cold. Schedule your system checkup now from a Train Comfort Specialist. Train has been recognized 11 consecutive years as America's most trusted HVAC brand and our exclusive home comfort partner here at Jocks. Visit Train.com to find a comfort specialist near you. 800-239-9569. If you'd like to get into the show, discuss some of the coaching maneuvers that are happening right now. Ken is in Tuscaloosa, wants to chime in. Welcome in, Ken.
Yeah, good morning. I got a question, and I'm not suggesting this, but it's just a question. So is Lane playing chess when everybody else is thinking chess? And my question is,
I feel like that was going to be a great question, too. I feel like he was right on his way to just a great one that we were going to get in. What are the options here for Keith Carter realistically?
Chess checkers.
What are the options realistically here for Keith Carter, Greg?
Gosh, it's a tough spot. I mean, no one's denying it's a tough spot. It's very difficult. It's unprecedented. There is no playbook for how you handle it, how you deal with it. But the options are, one, you let him stick around and go chase a championship, and maybe you win it. I mean, what's better than that? Like, send him out with a bang. But guys, we just delivered the first national championship in, my granddad's lifetime. I mean, that's incredible. And we resourced the program. Like, everyone had a hand in this. It's bigger than one person, like what have you. So you do that. That's option one. Option two, you send him packing, and he does not coach the Ole Miss Rebels. You win a championship in spite of his absence. Nothing would be greater in the world for Keith Carter than that happening, but I think that's hard to imagine, right? Because the second you send him packing, the second he starts probably working against you. 3, you keep him on for the playoff run and announce that Pete Golding is taking over. So there's some continuity, and that way the entire team can still rally around Pete, who's going to be staying. I think the opportunity for Pete to take over is higher than ever because of this situation, by the way. Because I think if you want to keep a good thing going, you're in the playoff and you want to chase a championship, like, your next coach is there. He's right there on the staff. 4, you go outside higher and you put Pete Golding in as an interim. And who knows if Pete Golden's going to be there in a month. So to me, I think those are your 4 options. And I think it's very, very difficult. I think the most likely approach is probably option C, where they keep Pete Golding and make him the head coach, and Lane Kiffin is probably not there.
All right, so
that's my guess.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
All right, Ken wants to
What
try.
do you think?
Hold on, let's let Ken try again, get his question in. Welcome into the show, Ken.
Hey, man, I'm driving Highway 11. I apologize.
That's okay.
So if Lane is expressing this interest and it seems like, hey, all this, and then he decides I'm staying at Ole Miss, what does that say to all the other recruits and folks that he's trying to sign on NIL? Is that, hey, Ole Miss is a better spot than either LSU or Florida? Is that a psychological message that he may be sending? Again, I'm not suggesting it. I'm just throwing it out there as an option.
I think it could definitely help. It would definitely boost Ole Miss to be able to say, hey, we beat Florida and LSU to keep our head coach. I think that would be strong, but I think after a couple of months, it's not going to matter because whoever the new head coaches there are, they're going to be trying to sell their program, their school, their system with LSU and Florida behind them. And then it just comes down to personal preference or financial gain for those kids and where they want to go. As far as playing some sort of a game, I don't I mean, the only game that I think is at hand here is probably just the attention that comes with it. I don't really think that there's some ruse that Lane's trying to pull on Florida and LSU. I think that he's seriously considering those, Greg. I think he knows what those jobs are. He knows what those jobs mean. He knows what's been accomplished there before. So you realistically take those into consideration. It's just the timing of this is awful for everybody. And how about this? Has anybody asked the players what they would want? Has anybody gone to the team and said, if this is happening, how would you like us to handle it? Do you want him to coach you through the postseason? Do you want him gone? And by the way, if we think he's going somewhere else and not coming back here, what would you do if we told him to leave and not coach in the postseason? What if 5 or 6 of the best players on the team said, yeah, we ain't going out there? Is that impossible? I don't think it's impossible. I think most kids would want to play, but we also think most kids that are sharing reps or getting real playing time after 4 games would want to play the rest of the season. And a lot of them don't anymore. So it's a wild situation as to where it is and where potentially it's going. We'll have more on it. We're going to get to some of the games from over the weekend that we have not discussed just yet. When we come back, we'll continue to get to your feedback and more. All that next right here on Jocks.